Welcome to the Impact of Educational Leadership podcast with ID3 for Isaiah Drone III. This show was designed to provide an exclusive forum on educational achievement gaps related to learner success while discovering relationships and family issues in a diverse setting.
Welcome back. This is the third season of the Impact of Educational Leadership. This is episode 51. I'm your host, ID3 for Isaiah Drone III. Tonight's panelists are the legendary Delna, Bryan, Arthur Robinson, and Rick Beaule. Men and ladies, please say hello to the people.
Good evening, good evening.
Hello, this is Delna.
Good evening. This is Arthur Robinson coming to you tonight.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, tonight's topic is one that is right on time, and that is, how are teacher unions conducting follow-ups in the virtual environment? As COVID-19 pandemic has reconstructed education and the discussion around how to educate the state's children, three of the state's most influential teacher unions have played a key role in elevating health concerns related to reopening, including pointing out that many schools have inadequate ventilation systems and advocating for the state to provide masks and more testing. There are many safety and technological concerns as education reform pivots toward the digital age. The education industry may need to join forces and do more discussing on new channels in relation to social media platforms. Perhaps if these influential teacher unions spend more time in the community with people more like themselves with a common interest, rather than in the general public where disclosure has descended to rancorous incivility. Communication styles then will become more personable. Content will be more tailored to more specifics and related topics. Because of COVID-19, education must develop a new brand and something that people can have faith in and that are passionate about. Tonight, we will have a discussion. How are teacher unions conducting follow-ups in the virtual environment? Our first panelist, Mr. Rick Beaule. Mr. Beaule, please say hello again to the people, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks again, Mr. Drone, for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Rick Beaule. He has been in public education for 2 decades and holds a Bachelor's of Science in Music Education from Indiana University of Pennsylvania and a Master's of Science degree in Education Administration and Leadership from Duquesne University. He is a founding member of an organizational group called Alliance for Young Men of Beaule County, which is dedicated to developing strategies and opportunities to young men through engagement in the community at large. He is an orator, a composer, and arranger of music, and he has sang professionally in a cappella groups, specifically For Real. The title of the group is For Real, and they've appeared in many performances with famous people like Johnny Angel and the Halos, Eddie Hallman, Tony James, the Turtles, Chuck Berry, just to name a few. He is also a member of the Texas Teachers Association Board of Directors and part of the Resolutions Committee of the National Education Association. Rick, question for you tonight, and I want you to take your time and I want to hear your thoughts. Companies must decide how they want to show up and what kind of relationship they need to build with educators in their communities. Wow, they got to do all this now while remaining, technically and tactically proficient and safe. How are they going to do this? What are your thoughts? That's my question for you, Mr. Beaule.
There are two main points I think I would submit for consideration. The first point is that the relationship building should operate both ways, not just from companies to communities and educators, but also the other way around. One of the things that HB 3 did in Texas with regards to school funding is really shackled the ability of school districts to generate additional revenue. They've essentially kind of found themselves lashed to the state in terms of funding. Should the legislature allow the percentage of funding to flatten or dip or be reduced, districts are going to have a hard time turning to even any sort of temporary tax increase in times of economic downturn. And what is exactly the COVID pandemic presented us with? An economic downturn. So, but as with so many things in life, it also presents an opportunity, and I'm a big opportunity guy. So districts are going to have to not only shift their thinking outside the box when it comes to resources, in some cases they're going to have to throw the box away entirely. But by building on or building new relationships with communities and corporations, they can not only find avenues to new sources of revenue, excuse me, but they can also work to reduce some of the societal issues that have pushed some of the expenditures over the years. And one example of that could be creating a community program where residents can purchase refurbished electronic devices or internet access and donate them to students who currently lack such things. Another could be expanding community programs to address homelessness or food insecurity through things like community gardens, providing mini homes, support, and potential jobs as staff in schools for those disaffected people as well. And the opportunity is there to have top-of-the-line research and pilot programs for students that are funded from the research budgets of those corporations rather than from the taxpayer. As a diagnosed autistic, it would be amazing to me to see investments in special needs learning. To see things and how we learn in general and new ways to be developed to engage and increase the learning of our students and those who teach them. Because if we're going to have 21st century classrooms, we have to support our educators with 21st century learning techniques and pedagogy. And if the school boards and legislature would allow it, I'm sure there are corporations out there who would just leap at the chance to trade resources for knowledge and experience from those of us on the educational front lines. So the second point and the other consideration here is most definitely safety, and I'm very glad that you brought that up. Because safety requires planning and vision, and most importantly, a willingness to invest in both of them. I have friends who are computer specialists, and they're really stuck in the soup right now. They're absolutely inundated with tech support requests from parents, from staff, and anyone else trying to work in virtual environments. Because we have educators that are being forced into buildings that aren't safe during the times of a pandemic. Our political leaders are trying to act like it's a normal thing. They need to stop that and start acting in the name of what is safe and what protects. Corporations can help with that by using technology and investing their research budgets to create safer and more effective learning environments for schools that they can then use in the products that they market to the public. That legislative vision and leadership, once it starts at the state level, has to continue down to the local level. And with that is the second most important thing to invest in, which is time. One of my IT friends noted today that so many of the issues that she hears about and receives are issues that could have been easily solved or avoided through investing in time to properly train people on the programs they're using. I know that in my home district, we were trained on 12 programs in 2 weeks, and then had our modality of learning switched from synchronous to asynchronous learning with only 2 days to go before the virtual learning experience began. And 2 weeks and then 2 days is not enough time to properly internalize those programs, how to use them, and also create quality lesson plans for student learning and achievement. So the lack of planning and investment on the front end most certainly is hurting both students and educators on the back end. And if we wish to be effective, we've got to have that time investment on the front end. My local union has been in on the trenches of this because my district hasn't made good decisions with planning and vision. They delayed purchases of electronic devices until late July, and then they used that miscue to force an early return to in-person learning. And so we've been very, very active in trying to keep learning virtual until it is safe, because ultimately you have to be healthy to learn safely and effectively.
Some of the words I heard in what you said, though you did not say them exactly, but it was aligned to it, was we have to decide, we have to commit, we have to act, and then we can succeed. We talked about asynchronous and synchronous learning, and I feel that you were spot on with it, because we need to start creating more tutorials for children and teachers to see, because everyone learns differently. Some people learn hands-on, some people learn visually, or some, by reading or just by hearing. And so, these are some of the limitations that have to be lifted off of HB3, like you were speaking. And so we need these programs for teachers, and we need to use platforms like social media, which is not as expensive as going and creating an application. And so because of these new support systems, we really, really need to, just get on the ball. And I think a lot of districts are doing that. I got to throw out Dallas ISD. They are really cutting edge. They are really cutting edge as it relates to these new support systems for their kids in their district. Rick, thank you for that response. It was loaded. I thought I was going to throw you off that question, but you nailed it, sir, like you always do. Let me give my next question to Ms. Delna Bryan. Delna, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing just fine. Good evening. I'm wonderful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Miss Delna Bryan, activist, educational advocate. Delna Bryan, now in her 40th year in teaching and educational consulting as a executive member of NEA Dallas for educators and paraprofessionals in the United States. She has worked and sat on the boards with a political action committee, former vice president and president of NEA Dallas Teachers Affairs. She served on 2 committees for Delta Kappa Gamma International Scholarship Committee, for the Eulalie Carter, and on the Oversight for Human Resources Committee. Bachelor's degree from Anderson College, Anderson, Indiana. Master's from University of Southern Mississippi, Hattiesburg. Master's also from Granada, Spain, in teaching, the art of teaching. She has become the who's who among American educators. So my question for you, because there are powerful forces like personalization and privacy, which are changing the rules of social media, all right? And so as social media begins to dominate, or they've been dominating how people communicate and spend time online, it is clear that we must find new ways of interacting socially, right? Like Rick covered, but doing it in a safe way. And so, what's your experience, and through your lens, how can teacher unions continue to provide that top-notch service to its members? That's my question for you.
In order to provide that top-notch communication to its members, first of all, you have to be aware that quite a few of the social media platforms have improved. They have tightened their Privacy Act. You can socialize on these without being hacked. And you have to remember that over 2 billion people a month are using social media. If you want a way to market your organization, if you want a way to market your brand, there is no way that you can get out of not advertising your organization, but on social media. You might be adverse to putting ads on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, but it's time to get with the program. The younger teachers coming in, they are making up anywhere from 18 to 25% of our population as teachers. They are social media is an extension of their right arm. So when they go on social media, to share strategies with each other every day. When they're on social media, to check updates on what's going on at what scene, what birthday is going on. You also need to have them conditioned to check out your Facebook page, your Instagram page, find out what is going on, whether you're having a Zoom with certain teachers on a certain topic. They need to know one of the things that they will have posted every so often is all about your brand. This is a marketing strategy. Get them hooked to know that message is coming. You might want to share 3 messages, 3 different messages, one on Instagram, one on Facebook, one on WhatsApp, and you rotate it periodically. I would say that they need, all organizations, I'm talking Texas because that's where I'm from, should have a communication expert on their board, and that is all they handle, communications for that group. We are affiliated to TSTA. Our local boards are affiliated to TSTA and affiliated to NEA in Washington, D.C. If we need help with any of these formats, if we need help with any of these platforms, you can call on TSTA or you can call on NEA and get help with it. Know who you're targeting. Are you targeting your new teachers coming in? Are you targeting your teachers with 15 to 18 years experience? Are you targeting your veteran teachers? Decide who you're going to be targeting and put your advertisement out to promote what group you are targeting. This does not have to break your budget. You don't have to spend a whole lot. You can add this one step at a time. But know that social media and our virtual learning now is here to stay. We have an endemic crisis. And with this endemic crisis, we are going to have to rethink how we build our organizations using social media. You can build it only to go to cell phones. We have a list of teachers, we have their cell phone numbers, build it where it will go to their cell phones. Make it so unique that they're hooked on your advertisement. It might be video inspired, or it might have certain amount of motions. It has something totally different from your organization that is unique to you, that the teachers would want to find out. What is it that you have that is so different in your marketing strategy, in your social media platform? I need to be part of this. They will want to know what you're doing, and they will come, they'll log on to find out what you are doing. This is a good way, a very good way to promote your organization.
Again, I want to thank you for that response. Just so glad to have this panel here tonight by way of Rick Beaule, Arthur Robinson, and the legendary Delna Bryan. You know, you said a lot. You gave us a lot of content, and I pulled from that 3 words: reveal, reform, and then rebuild. And so these new support systems are going to have to use exactly what you said to market. They're going to have to use everybody's gift. The younger teachers that's coming in, that's less than 20%, they're gifted more with technology. They're gifted more with cell phones. They're gifted more with these apps for these phones. So we have to utilize them, and they're doing a great job of that. That for me was so powerful and right there, and it actually brings me to my next question, because Mr. Arthur Robinson, are you there, sir? Please say hello to the people.
Yes, again, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me on the air.
Absolutely. So glad to have you here, sir. Mr. Arthur Robinson is a local state leader for Texas State Teachers Association, 25 plus years teaching experience. He holds a master's degree, another master's degree in education. And so we're just so excited to have you here with us this evening. As I was going to you, I was thinking, what is the heart of the matter? What is the heart of the matter? Sir, I know you are a passionate person. You can't be in education and doing what you're doing and not have a big heart. So I want to pull from your heart tonight. And with that being said, my question for you is, with your years of experience in education, right, what techniques, approaches, or even strategies do you see being used the most and that are the most effective as it relates to, let's just say it, teacher unions and their membership with their members, with the teachers unions members relationship? What are you seeing, sir?
Well, I can tell you this, as Delna spoke earlier, we are a union and for the state, Texas State Teachers Association, but we are affiliated with the National Education Association, which are around 3 million members. So the resources are there, and for us to be able to collaborate with our members to make sure they understand that we are there for them, we troubleshoot to make sure they have what they need to survive, because there is a stress level out there, I want you to know. And it's the unknown, especially the older generation that probably does not have as much experience with the different types of technologies that's thrown on them each day. I think, as Rick has spoke also earlier, I think we all are sharing that experience. So I think that a lot of the things that need to take place from my experience over the years and seeing what happened from March until now, it's going to take about 2 to 3 things, important things to do, or strategies to use to help all our members and staff to be successful. And that one of those is collaboration. And what I mean by that, collaboration between the union leaders and members to make sure that they have the resources they need and have a time and setting where they can actually ask questions, get answers, and to prepare them for some of the things they're not getting in their different districts, as per se, technology, professional development, which my district was very slow in trying to get that out. That was one of my questions that I complained about, because I think that if we had this little time from March until, I think it was June, to be thrown into this virtual setting, then we should have used the time between there and now to get professional development, get the people used to the different things that are coming down the pipeline, Schoology, and then as of tonight, my school had their open house, and each teacher is required to upload a video and a Bitmoji that looks like you. Okay, that's required to put up for the parents to go in and look at today. And most of us, including myself, had to get a system with the Bitmoji. I didn't know what that had to do with it. But those are the kind of things I've gotten 2, 3 emails on how to do things like that. And so, and I help find assistance for that for myself and them. Number 2, another strategy is training. We have webinars that the state, TSTA, and NEA have produced and put out there from time to time in for this union, and webinars and showing them how to do certain things and how to look for hazards when you return back face-to-face, which for us will be starting next week. Particularly last week, they sent out a checklist, which was about 21 points. I'm sure Rick and Delna got that too. Well, I forwarded that on to my members and told them, look, we're about to start face-to-face, at least part of it. Phase 1, we have 3 phases. The first phase is kindergarten, pre-K, lot of office workers, they actually start next week. And what I've said to them is, be on the lookout when you get to school. Put this up near your computer, somewhere where you're constantly standing, and it's a checklist. From the moment you walk in, this is what you need to look for. If it's not to your part, it should be like this, then you need to address this to your administrator as soon as possible. Okay? And then, like I said, we have webinars and Zooms for that. Planning. We need to help to educate the members, let them know that they can help participate in setting goals for all staff and all members. And then we need to have a plan for them to show them how to execute this plan, safety, what to look for, how to report those things without feeling afraid, because like I said before, it is a stress level out there for the workers. Another item under that plan is outcome. What was the outcome of these goals that we had set earlier? And did we reach them? And anything that was not attainable or did not reach, we need to evaluate that at the end, make some improvement if we can. If not, that needs to be voiced to the administration, whether it's campus or the main administration, and so they can make note of that, because people are still getting sick even to this day. As just regular workers are returning, we're still getting people coming down and getting sick. Rooms disinfected every single day. At the end of the day, custodians are going to be asked to clean rooms to be every day clean. And the last one here, what I would say is make sure that everyone is informed of cases that come down. The TEA, from what I understand, with this face-to-face, going back face-to-face, has issued a guideline that says that school districts are required now to report incidents, not by individual, but by district. And that's something I'll be checking. So this is what I have to say about this issue, and I'll continue to say this until we can get the teachers to feel comfortable and feel comfortable about what they're doing, and not feel like they have to choose between this and their lives to start resigning and going to other districts like they've been doing. Thank you.
No, thank you, and thank you for giving us your heart. I knew you were going to do that tonight, sir. And what I heard a lot from what you were saying was, closing this gap between the traditional way and the virtual way of education. And so with that being said, let's talk about some takeaways. Who wants to go first about tonight's discussion? What are some takeaways?
All right. So, I would say, those who are able to most effectively adapt and most effectively execute operating in a virtual environment through the use of social media, through the use of building relationships, and through the use of the educator unions and associations whose goal it is to provide a safe and effective learning environment for students and for staff. Those who are able to do that most effectively are the ones that are going to shape the battlefield, and are the ones who are going to be able to control the message and the process. So if we wish to have that effective synergy, then we must be the most effective in doing that.
No man is an island. That's what Dunn said many years ago. We have to remember, yes, we might have independent school districts, doing virtual learning in a different form or fashion, but you can learn from that other school district. Take a look and see what is going on in some of your other districts to see if there's something that you could learn from what they are doing. We in Dallas had to do a workshop, a mini workshop on how to come back to school in a safe manner. What to do, when to do it, how to do it. It was laid out for us. And we had to sign off. This is what we are doing according to our virtual classrooms. We are doing onto gradually bringing students again. If the students want to come back to the brick building, they can, starting on September 17th. Some others are coming back on September 29th. Some others are coming back on October 5th. But this is not mandatory because is the school safe? Every week, every Friday, Saturday, that weekend, our school will do a deep clean. Everything is clean. Everything is sanitized. The entire school is locked down to teachers. You cannot go in unless you get special permission from the principal to let the people who are there doing the deep cleaning know that you might want to come in. Otherwise, the building is locked down from the time you leave for deep cleaning. So look to see what's going on in other districts, how they're handling certain things. And this would be something that you would have on social media. You would have Zoom meetings to discuss what might be going on in other school districts. How can you improve yours? Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in. This has been another night of the Impact of Educational Leadership. This was episode 51. I'm your host, ID3 for Isaiah Jones III. Our panelists tonight are a word. Delna Bryan, Arthur Robinson, and Rick Beaule. Good night.
Welcome to the Impact of Educational Leadership podcast with ID3 for Isaiah Jones III. This show was designed to provide an exclusive forum on educational achievement gaps related to learner success while discovering relationships and family issues in a diverse setting.